Like the other day I DM'd a rapper that I want to get on the show, and he literally replied in 5 minutes and was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was just like, okay, this cool, this is good.
Who else are you keen to book?
I'm keen to book Drake, so fingers crossed.
How would you describe yourself as a teenager?
As a teenager, in primary school, when I was younger, I was quite popular in primary school. And then as soon as I became a teenager and went to secondary school, I wasn't popular at all. And I was just involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. So I was the library assistant in the library, which meant I would return books in break and lunch, which maybe is why I didn't have that many friends. Now I'm thinking about it. I was also quite awkward, I think, as a teenager. I had braces and glasses, which, is never that great a look. And I was also quite small, smaller than I am now. So it wasn't the best. I always had ambitions to be a performer, but I can't really pinpoint exactly what type of performer I wanted to be. I think maybe at the beginning it was more of a presenter, because growing up, watching TV, presenters were huge, and that was mainly how I thought I could be on television if I was a presenter. I also feel like I wanted to be an actress at some point. I was really obsessed with Skins, and I wanted to be in Skins, which I probably would not have been cast in Skins, considering I spent all my time in the library.
You went to university and you went to study fashion. How did you end up studying fashion?
Well, yeah, I went to university, to Central St Martin's, to study fashion journalism, because another ambition of mine was I always wanted to be editor of Vogue. And so basically I used to wanted to be editor of Vogue. That was how I would introduce myself a lot, be like, hi Amelia, and I'm going to be editor of Vogue. And so my mum told me, okay, well, if you want to be editor of Vogue, you have to go to Central St Martin's, because that's where all the big fashion designers and just people within the industry have gone. So I set my mind on it from a very young age that I was going to go to Central St Martin's.
Did you like university? Did you enjoy it?
I liked the first 2 years, because going to St Martin's, everyone there is just, hyper creative, the most creative people you'll probably ever meet, and everyone was just came in wearing the most insane outfits that they'd made, or you just never knew what you were going to see. And so much of the courses was all about collaboration, so we'd be collaborating with the fashion designers, the architect students, the graphic designers. Everyone was in this big building in King's Cross, so it really was fantastic. And yeah, everyone there's talking about ideas rather than people, and I loved that about it. So I'm really happy I went to a creative university. But my tutors didn't really get me. No, they didn't really get me, but they didn't really get what I was doing. So when I was already doing Chicken Shop Day at the time when I was at university, I did the first episode when I was in my first year at uni. And I think they just didn't really understand it. Fair enough, it wasn't anything to do with fashion, Chicken Shop Day. But I also was always trying to make content in my fashion studies, so fashion content, or video interviews, or funny, quirky things, and I don't really think they understood it really. So I often came into sort of clashes with my tutors, and I ended up really hating my third year, because my tutors really didn't like my final project, which was starting a YouTube channel. They said, you know what they said? They said that they all wanted everyone to make magazines. And they were everyone in the class had to make a magazine. And I was like, guys, I kind of think that maybe print is going down, and maybe we should be doing video as instead. And they were like, what are you talking about? Absolutely not. My IT teacher really liked me, because I was a scholar, and sent me an email saying, also he knew that I wanted to be editor of Vogue. So he sent me an email saying, there's this magazine that's run out of a youth club in Royal Oak in northwest London, where I'm from. They're looking for new contributors. You should go. And I was like, this is perfect. Like, I've always wanted to write for a magazine. This is amazing. So me and my friend from my class, Cleo, went on Wednesday evening after school, and that changed my life, and I owe everything to becoming part of that magazine. It was called The Cut, and everyone there was just into all different types of music and different parts of culture that I never knew, and especially UK rap and grime. I was so obviously inspired by Pop World and their really irreverent interviews that they did, where they would just take pop stars and put them in completely different situations, and it was so fun and had so much energy, and I was so bored of seeing the same interviews with musicians that were just talking about their musical influences and just serious things, I guess. It just seemed quite tame at the time. So yeah, I thought a date would be a great way to do an interview, and then someone said, oh, you should go on a date where you would never actually go on a date. So then I said, Chicken Shop. So that's how it started, and yeah, it was a column in that magazine for like 3 years. So I would write up the interviews, and my friend would take photos. And then when I was in my first year at uni, after I'd done maybe like 10 interviews with the column, decided it would be even better if it was filmed. So just made my YouTube channel. So the first filmed episode of Chicken Shop Date was with Getz, and yeah, I still can't believe that he was the first episode, because such a brilliant person to get.
Do you like pets? Gets.
I like cats. I like cats. You know, the truth is, a lot of people, they laugh when I say that I like cats. Cats fascinate me. They're very smart. Very smart. You know, like sometimes you'll just be, you can be in a house alone and the cat will be looking at something that you can't see. And that fascinates me.
Yeah, they also jump really high.
He was just like the perfect person to be the first episode, because he was just so up for it and has such a great bubbly personality, and also so just naturally funny, that I just hit gold, really. Struck gold with that one.
Oh, were you a bit nervous to go in front of the camera?
Was I nervous? Well, the thing is, because I'd done a lot of the column already, and I was in character then, I developed my character through the written column, and I always felt like I was performing even when there weren't any cameras there. So I wasn't as nervous as I could have been. I was just nervous because I also produced the content myself. So with my friend Marvin, who also is from the magazine, I found the shop, booked the crew, like not knowing what I'm doing. I've never produced a shoot before. I was 20 and like just scrambling around making sure everything was going right. So I think I was just really concentrating on the production of it, making sure that even that Getz showed up. He was actually early, but I was worried he wouldn't turn up. And then, you know, the chicken shop owner, it was in a chicken cottage, we didn't tell him that we needed to actually shut the shop. So he assumed that he could still serve his customers. But the shop was so small that when the camera crew was in there, no one could get in. So there was a line of people outside the chicken shop just like looking in, and he was fuming that he couldn't serve anyone.
So where did the character come from? Where's the kind of prickly, slightly awkward character coming from?
The character's kind of just an exaggeration of my own personality. I think growing up I was a lot more awkward than I am now, and deadpan, and people would always say that I was a bit cold, but I just think that they're just reading me wrong. I just think I have a face where I look like I'm in a bad mood, but I'm not. Like, my face just, I think I have a downturned smile or something. I don't know what it is, but I always look like I'm unimpressed. People often are like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm fine. The first episode that blew up was probably the Tribuddy G one, because it was put on Lad Bible, actually. Yeah, it was put on Lad Bible and it blew up. So yeah, thanks Lad Bible for that.
What are your best chat-up lines?
Oh, best chat-up lines. You want to make some beige little f***ers together and live the UKIP nightmare. Hi, Tribuddy.
It's been such a gradual, like, growth of the success of it that I don't think there's ever been a moment where I'm like, whoa, I've made it, or like, wow, it's huge, because it's been really steady. But I wouldn't have had it any other way, because I think that it just makes it even better that it's grown over time, and I've built like a following over time rather than just all of a sudden, because I think going viral and getting like a mad amount of people looking at your content and subscribing and whatever when you're starting out can actually hinder you, or can, I think, be quite daunting, because then there's so much pressure and expectation when you are still finding yourself and figuring your content out and what you're doing.
And what has been your favourite episode?
My favourite episode, maybe the Big Nasty episode is my favourite episode, because I was trying to get Big Nasty on the show for so long. I remember being at Sonar Festival in Spain and like having these phone conversations with someone loosely connected to him. This was like 5 years ago, telling me that maybe they could get me a date with Big Nasty, and I was like leaving the festival to do these calls with all my friends thinking, oh my god, we're gonna get Big Nasty on, it's gonna be like the second episode, it's gonna be incredible. And that never happened until like 2 years later. Finally we got him on, and it was just a big deal, I think, because also the fans really wanted him on the show too, and he was so great, and he was just the perfect guest.
Why are you called Big Nasty if you're so fun and cuddly and cute?
So his name's got a meaning behind it.
What does it stand for?
Natural, artistic, respected, sexy, talented, independent and educated.
The bigger the show gets, the bigger the expectation to get a bigger artist is, and big artists are always going to be hard to get. Like, no matter how successful a platform you have, even people like Graham Norton will find it hard to book certain guests. So I think that's always just going to be difficult, but definitely it's got a bit easier. Like the other day I DM'd a rapper that I want to get on the show, and he literally replied in 5 minutes and was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was just like, oh, okay, this cool, this is good.
Who else are you keen to book?
I'm keen to book Drake. So, fingers crossed.
In your private life, in your dating life, has anyone ever tried to take you actually on a chicken shop date?
No. Nobody has asked me out on a second date. No, that's never happened. I know, shocking. Shocking, but no, it's actually quite awkward sometimes. Well, I've got less awkward, but when I used to film, when I started filming, I wouldn't talk to the guests before, because I don't know, I was quite method. I don't know why. There's no need really, so I wouldn't talk to them before, and then as soon as the cameras stopped filming, I was like, okay, thank you, bye.
And what's your favourite thing about making the show?
I love like getting excited about who I'm going to have on next. I love writing the questions, trying to ask people something that they've never been asked before. The whole point of Chicken Shop Date is to get a different side, show a different side to that person's personality, make something entertaining that is unique that they won't have seen before, and I think that's why people like watching the show too. And then I love being in the edit. I love editing. I don't edit myself, but I sit in on the edit. And I love putting everything together and like the puzzle pieces of what it's going to be like, because a lot of the show, the awkwardness and my character is actually made in the edit, rather than when we actually film live.
What advice would you give to aspiring content creators like who want to follow in your footsteps?
My advice would be just to be persistent, I think, is the best advice I could give. Just carry on emailing, carry on like nudging people, carry on making your own content, because people were going to have to listen, and that's kind of what I've done. Also, I believe that if you think that your idea is good, then that's all you need really, because you just need that belief to carry you through, to carry on making things. So yeah, that would be my advice. Also, I guess, find your niche. I feel like find something that is a bit different. I guess like it's the worst advice ever. Like, think of an original idea, do that. But really, yeah, I think that everything I've done is kind of looking at how I can spoof something that already exists, like how I can take something that I've seen already, but just add my own twist to it, which is essentially what I've done with a dating show, which is what Chicken Shop Date is, and a music interview format, just spinning it a bit. You don't have to think of something from thin air. So no one ever does that. Everything is referencing something else. So I think don't try and, you know, go and wind yourself up by trying to think of something original, because nothing is original, really.
You can never really be true friends after something like that. I just don't think it can ever happen. Maybe if you fought and it was a draw, maybe you could still be friends, but the idea of being friends with someone that has beaten you, it's a hard thing for your head to compute.